Hey guys, Ty here. Welcome to my ultimate HO custom showcase all about rolling stock. So I made all these in the span of a few months, but most of these trucks were frankly the most recent ones. And the one that I finished actually just a little bit before was this brake van and this salt van. So let's get started with Annie Clarabelle here. So here comes Thomas popping along the track with Annie and Clarabelle. So we're gonna leave him here. Thank you, Thomas, very much. Thanks for delivering these. I'm just gonna put Thomas over here. So let's take a little look-see at these coaches here. So much like most, if not all, of my Season 3 models, they were all based off of the Season 3 ruler photos released by Thomas Tank Merch. So first off, I matched the colors in said Season 3 ruler photos, and I mixed a pumpkin orange apple barrel paint and a chestnut brown apple barrel paint to make the livery you see here. So for Clarabelle, since, well, it did have to be more modified than Annie, I put the little guard compartment that has been absent from every Clarabelle model, even the upcoming N scale models, which I frankly don't understand. If you're making pretty much new tooling, why not fix it? But you know, that's a story for another day, isn't it? So after doing that, I painted the roofs into a different white because it was more of an off-white, and at that point these models were getting decently old because they were some of the first HO things that I ever got. Then I painted the I guess foot plates here black, and as you can see they were gray, but now, well, they're black. Then I painted these little rails that you can see here, these little handles, I guess, into a gold color. And finally, which was probably my favorite part of making these, was I painted the faces to look like the Season 3 ruler photos. So the mouth was, well, the mouths on both of them I actually did Clarabelle first. The angling for the mouths was pretty tricky to get down, but as you can see I did it. And the top eyelids are just a cream coat from Delta Creative. I think Annie's face did turn out a little bit better than Clarabelle's, but overall I'm very happy with these models. So next up, here comes Doug with some pre-Bachmann red coaches. Thank you, Doug. I'm gonna a couple of you here as well. Not so graceful, but you know, it is okay. So like I just said there, these were made before the Bachmann red coaches were ever even announced. These were just spare Annie and Clarabelles that I had that I painted red with shiny black roofs. So besides that, there really isn't much change except for this one having a broken buffer, which was the way I got it. I also, of course, I had to sand down the noses because, you know, it looked quite odd with some random triangles poking out. Besides that, these models aren't really too much different. So now let's get on to the behemoth section, as I like to call it, which is all of the trucks and wagons. So here comes Diesel with all of the rolling stock that it is. Hello, Diesel. Fuck off. Okay, that was good. But I'm gonna let all of these pieces of rolling stock pass before I actually get on to the segment. So the first thing we're going to be looking at is this little brake fan that I made, which was actually one of the first pieces of rolling stock that I made alongside with those red coaches I showed earlier. So this originally was just a stock standard Bachmann brake van, but I cut down the actual chassis itself and kind of put it back together, but as you can see it didn't turn out too well, but just well enough. Then I painted up the brake fan itself into this gray, and I put on the little NWR and 20T labels, which is 20 ton actually. And then I took the face of a Take and Play Raoul and just kind of slapped it on there for a little electric character. I do like this brake van, even though it is a little bit more sloppily made, but I like it very much. So the next model is pretty standard. It's just a little gray tanker. This was a little Hornby tanker that I had that I just painted into a gray color, as well as taken off like couple, I don't really know what they were. They were just black bands that were going down across it. There really isn't much say about this. It's just a great tanker. It's kind of cool. It's one of my only Hornby things. So yeah, that's really all I gotta say about this one. So here is a little salt van that I made. You may think, hey, this doesn't look too much different from the actual Bachmann release, but it is a little bit. See, originally I painted this into a gray and I weathered it all up, and that kind of looked bad compared to pretty much every other piece of Bachmann rolling stock that I had, you know, customized. So I painted it back into the cream color that it originally was, and I painted the roof into the same granite gray that I used for a bunch of stuff. And that's pretty much it for this little van here. So here is a little cattle van based off the Season 3 ruler photos. First off, I painted it into a brown and painted the chassis into a black. Because this, if you're familiar with this model, this was originally fully green, quite similar to how I painted this door. So first off, I just painted it all up into this brown, even the chassis for a while. And before I made those changes, because originally I just painted it all brown and just kind of left it. But then I painted this door and I painted the chassis into black and then green respectively. And there's the face. It's just kind of the same face that was there. This is a pretty nice model on its own, and I feel like I kind of enhanced it by making it more accurate to the way you see it in the show. So here are 3 wagons, all based on Season 3. So we'll start off with this one. This was originally just a #1 Bachmann truck. Which is a nice model on its own, but it does leave a lot to be desired. I think everyone agrees on that. So first, we'll look at the actual top bit. This was painted into a dark green, which was an apple barrel green mixed with some black paint, and that looked pretty nice, I think. Then I added the black onto the, I guess, frames here. And for the chassis, I painted it black originally, because as you can see, it was gray. And then I used a tactic that was introduced to me by the tow train, which is watering down some brown acrylic paint and then putting it all over, giving it this nice kind of dirty look. I do think it looks quite good, and I don't know, I just feel like it turned out pretty nice. And then the face was painted into the same gray that I painted most of my faces up in. And I put on some new eyebrows and got the eyes kind of giving you a little side eye over here. Next, here's this little truck that was seen in Season 3. So I painted it up into a darker brown, much like I did with the green truck. I just painted it all up, then painted the chassis into a black, and then I used the watered down acrylic paint method to weather it. It's just a black wagon. There's really not much change here. I just took a troublesome truck #4, painted it up in black, and did some light weathering on it. So, yes, there are those. And now let's go on to the little ringleader. So here is SC Ruffy, or Scruffy, I should say, because, you know, SC Ruffy, that is a stupid name. I'll say it. So originally I just painted this over lightly into a kind of a black wash, so the lettering was kind of scuffed up. And later on, when I was doing all the rest of this rolling stock here, I used the weathering method that I mentioned before and put it all over, making it very heavy on certain places. And it looks, I think it turned out real nice, real rusty looking. And then the face was based off of a face sheet that was used in Season 12, posted by Twitter user Tom's Props. Because, surprisingly, the faces did survive into that era. So this is I think this is a kind of pretty decent, I suppose, take on Scruffy. And this, I don't want to say it's one of my favorite ones because I've said that about a lot of these here. But now we're going to go on to my favorite truck that I've done. So here is my favorite wagon that I've ever done. The M wagon, as most call it. So if you didn't know, recently, Thomas Tank Merch who I've mentioned, released the Season 3 models the previous year, Thomas Take Merch revealed that he owned the original M Wagon from Season 1. And that put my little creative juices going, because I had the M Wagon, far before this happened. Along with, I also weathered it originally before I even saw that the M Wagon survived, which is the most surprising thing. So we're gonna look on the side here, and as you can see, the S, which is prominent on the model, which was originally LMS, is only seen on one side because that's how it is on the actual model. And it's all nice and weathered up. I feel like I did it quite accurately. So there's the S. I do think it looks quite similar to the M here. And on the bottom here, we have this writing, which is on the original model, which most interpret it as 9/12/24, which is December 9th, 1924, making the original prop one of the oldest pieces. No, not even one of the oldest. The oldest Thomas memorabilia ever, even before the original Railway Series books. So that is quite interesting, I think. So I'll give you another look at the bottom here. I didn't mean to drop her. I'll give you a better look at the bottom here. I do think it looks. I think I made it look quite accurate, even though I had to leave the screw there because they would just leave a little hole. That's fine. And I also cut off all of the, I suppose, brake rigging that was on it. And here's a look side by side, because this is the same tooling as this. I cut down all of it, and I feel like it did turn out quite well. The only thing that I could have done better is on this axle. I kind of botched it a little bit, but it's not too noticeable, luckily. It only kind of shows on camera, but if you look at it from far away, you can't really see it at all. But I accidentally sliced the axle a little bit with my Dremel when I was taking off the rigging. So this is, like I said, this is one of my favorite overall customs that I've made, and my favorite piece of rolling stock that I've made. So yeah, that is my entire collection of custom HOO rolling stock. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you didn't, oh well. And I'll be seeing you guys in the next one, episode 20 of the Custom Showcase series.